Hi, do you want to learn how to play guitar? Well, I'm here to help you. My name is Adrian of Adrian Unplugged, if you haven't guessed by the title of this channel. And I've been playing guitar for a little over 20 years now. And I will say I am self-taught, and I think I am in a position to help you out. And we're going to do this without the need of any exercises, scales, music theory, even being able to read sheet music or even tabs, because I can't read music myself. Like I said, I've been doing this for 20 years, but the fingerstyle guitar that I've been doing on this channel, a lot less time. But I started out with electric guitar, and I kind of unknowingly did these things for classical guitar, and I will explain why. So I have my notes here. So the first thing you need to do when you want to play an instrument is answer the question, why? And I left a long pause in there intentionally because the more of a reason you have to play in the first place, the more you'll stick with it. And the instrument is a tricky thing because most people just see it as a hobby. Okay, it's not like your body where at some point you need to be like, okay, I need to get healthy to survive. This is, for most people, a hobby, and there's nothing that would happen to you if you didn't show up and practice for a few days. But what you need to do is answer the question why. Now, I can't answer this for you. People will have different reasons. Maybe you have just kind of always wanted to get into the guitar. Maybe there's a particular song you want to play. Maybe you want to grow a YouTube channel like this, or maybe beyond my scope, you want to do this as a career. I don't know. In the age of the internet, it's possible. There is no wrong answer, but I will tell you, the stronger reason you have, the more you're going to stick with it. Just as a mental side note, your brain, everybody's brain just wants to be safe, survive, be comfortable. So with an instrument, that's something to where it's like, if you have the option to relax for the night or go sit down and practice a song, and your brain is like, why would I do this? If you don't have a reason, your brain's just going to say, I would rather just relax and watch TV, which is understandable. But if you take this step and write down why you want to play so that it's concrete, I think it will hold more meaning for you. So I'm pretty sure you're watching this on some device. On every device, there's a notes app. So open it up and write down your answer. Okay. Number 1 is why. Number 2 is, this is not a joke, is get a guitar. And I wasn't going to put this in here, but I say this because 2 things. If you are starting out and you are, just by the nature of the internet, just overwhelmed with which gear, guitar to pick, go ahead and you have your own full permission to just pick just anything that works. If you go to Facebook Marketplace and you find a guitar, just get that. If we're around the holidays, if you want to get a guitar for the holidays or your birthday, do it. And that's for people that are intimidated by the gear aspect. I will tell you now, I mean, honestly, my guitar, you can't see it in the background, but my guitar was the Cordoba starter pack, which like comes with picks, which I don't use, but picks, the tuner, the case and all that. But it was like $150, and I used a gift card for it. No shame in that. But honestly, I am not a huge gear person. I cannot tell you the difference between a $100 guitar, or $50 if you find one, or a $3,000 guitar. I can't tell the difference, and I'll tell you that most people cannot. So that's for people intimidated. 2, for the people that think that they need to wait and save up for something grand. I would argue that it is better to start with something, because by the time you save up for that super duper guitar you think you need, you could have spent the last 3 or 4 months just finding something and playing it. Okay. So number 1, why? 2, get a guitar. Number 3, I don't know if this is controversial, but pick your song you want to play before you worry about any exercises, any scales. I hate to say this, but honestly, learning notes or chords. And that may sound silly, but I'll tell you this. A personal story here. And that this is a not classical guitar, but I started with electric. I got pretty deep into heavy music. The first time, and I would try to read tabs, but the first time I saw or heard a sweep pick, my brain was so confused. And I thought, what? How? I think I saw the tab and I thought, how can someone, I didn't know how to alternate pick. I didn't know how to sweep pick. My brain thought, how is that happening? And what happened then? I didn't know what the technique was called. And I looked it up and it was called a sweep picking. I didn't know how to do it. I looked up a video. Oh, this is how continuous downstroke up, and you just have to time the left hand. I did not get into guitar, learn how to sweep pick for the sake of it, and then pick a song. I heard the song first, and then most of the songs I had learned, all the techniques that were required, I learned as a byproduct of having picked a song already. And the other thing is, if you're watching this and you want to play any instrument, you probably there's a reason, and one of the reasons is a song that you think, I like that song, I want to play it. You will be more excited to get to the point of playing the song than if I were to tell you, come on over here, let's learn scales for the next, I don't know how long people do it, next 2 months, 2 weeks. I don't know how they do it in college because I didn't do it. But honestly, most people have a excitement. You get your little dopamine from a song that you know, as opposed to starting with all the tools and just kind of like, this is how I should exercise. This is how I should learn my scales. These chords are fine because, there's not that many. But, you could potentially get into this tutorial purgatory where you're just kind of stacking these skills up. Just play the song. And I had also, now come to think of it, I'll never forget, there's a song Canon Rock, and there's a video of a guy on YouTube. It has to be well over 10 years now. He played it as well, but I think the tale was that he didn't use any extra techniques aside from playing the song. And that may seem like, well, you can't just go in and play that song if you listen to that song. No, you can't. But there's ways around it. I'll get to that in a second. But as far as picking the song is concerned, pick something that you can play. Don't have it be like, I know you're ambitious. I promise you're an ambitious person, whoever's watching this. But just pick something that is right at or just above your skill level. And if you're really intimidated, a little bit lower. Now, if you don't think that's good enough, or if you think that's too easy, then okay, prove it to yourself and play it. If, I don't know what easy is, but if it's an easy song, then you should learn it in a week or 2. Just prove it to yourself. And then once you're done that, increase your difficulty or pick another song and move on from there. All right, so that's 3. Number 4 is build and practice habit. Of all the steps I'm going to go over, this is this is the most important. Nothing else will happen until you practice, because the other 3 were all set up. You have a reason, you got your instrument, you picked your song. Now it's just time to do the work. I have a video on this. There's no secrets here. I think I'm wearing this exact same hoodie. But there are no secrets as far as how to get better or learn a song. I think I saw a Reddit post recently. the question was how do you get better as a beginner? And I think the answer is just the same way an advanced person learns a new song. Okay. You don't worry about 30-day, 90-day, 66-day habit formation. I will say have the average of the month. And what I mean is every month you should be showing up at least 90% of the days. That means you're allowed to miss 3. If you can do every day, do it. And the time frame, 20 minutes to an hour. And I break that hour up into 3 20-minute sessions. Pomodoro, if you want to call it that. Don't touch your phone during the entire block. But that's it. And I put a time cap on it. If you want to do more, do it. But if you start feeling you're not as crisp, forget about it. And I put that time frame because I want to assume the worst, that you don't have a ton of time. Like I do this at night, and I at least am able to show up. Not every night is perfect. You may get into practice for 10 minutes and you say, I'm sick of this. Then that's your brain telling you need a break, so take it. So that's the meat of it all. You have the setup. The meat of it is just showing up and practicing every day. If you did nothing else but just show up, play parts slowly, play 1 or 2 measures at a time. If you're really stuck, pump out the reps, pretend you're Ip Man and go in slow motion. And even if you take your metronome, you just keep it at one pace, maybe 1 or 2 days later, you wake up and you're like, oh, I can play fast because my brain and my hands know how to do this. So build a practice habit. So recapping, we have why, get a guitar, song over exercises, build a practice habit. The last one, I wrote habit too, but performance. Performances with a deadline. So in music, the way you prove you know an instrument is you can play it. Would you trust a guitar teacher or a YouTube video tutorial course and someone that could tell you how to do XYZ with an instrument? What if you never saw that person play the instrument? What if this channel was devoid of me playing this guitar and me just saying, this is how you practice. This is how you just trust me. This is how you hold your fingers. I'm not even holding a guitar. Your proof of expertise, if you want to call it that, is if you can play a song. Now, I know it's one of those weird things where it's like by yourself you can play well, and then you record a video and you make all your mistakes. It's just what it is. Tons of people in college have to perform, and I'm sure that being on stage and having to perform for an audience, you're going to have a little fright there. So you're going to make sure that you have this stuff down. So yeah, it proves that you know what you know your stuff, you know the song. And now I have deadlines here. Again, like I said, like you were in college. If you have to perform, you are ideally setting a deadline. But once you have that, let's say you have to perform in 2 weeks. Or what if I said 2 months or 2 years? That's going to cause a certain level of stress in your head, or 2 days. It's going to cause a certain level of stress, and your brain's going to like, oh, I need to do this to survive. There's no repercussions here. But again, like if you have that deadline that you set, then your brain is going to think, I really need to get this down before I perform this. Now, if your deadlines, if you can't hit it, just either push it back. One thing I do is I got a family. I just say, okay, make sure your deadline or whatever is your commitment is that you show up and practice. But don't let that last for 3 months. You have to say, okay, if I have the song down, one of these practice nights is the end of it. I need to sit down and record this. And I just made a sneak peek into the last point. The easiest way to perform these days is to just pick your phone up and press record and point it at yourself. I have a tripod and that was like $13, but don't use that as an excuse. I have lighting, also very cheap. Don't use that as an excuse. Get a lamp, point it to yourself, record during the daytime, sit by a window. But the internet has leveled the playing field as far as performing. I have had songs, and on my other channel, I had a song blow up. It got like 30,000 views. Imagine 30,000 people. Now, the song was short. It was the GoldenEye pause song. But imagine, that's like a stadium. 30,000 people. Now, you may say, well, not everybody watches through the whole thing. I think YouTube's different. It's not going to, you're going to show up on recommended feeds and all that. So you're not going to be scrolling like Reels or TikTok, but 30,000 people. Now on this channel, I have Baldur's Gates on. It's like 800. That's a lot of people, okay? And the beauty is that it just sits there. 50, 70 years ago, how would you get 30,000 people to watch it? Watch you play. Like you would have to go around bars asking if you can perform. You would have to hand out your mixtape. You would have to keep climbing the ranks in performing locally until somebody discovers you magically, hopefully gives you a chance at something bigger. Today, I've seen people use their phones and they'll get, I don't know, like 5-digit subs. Now, we're not talking about growing a channel right now. I'm just telling you that performing is a way to really solidify the learning process, and low barrier to entry for everybody, unless you have like a family gathering or a friend gathering. That's one thing, and that's good too. But either way, you're going to have to refine your playing to the point where there are minimal to no mistakes, ideally no mistakes, and you put it out there in the world. And it is, I'm not going to lie, it's not a pleasant feeling to put yourself out there. You could have tons of views and then your like-dislike ratio, a couple of people hit dislike and it just messes with your head and you ask yourself why. And you're thinking, I just put all this effort in this, or you are making videos and the views are not that great. Don't worry about that. The practice, the putting the music out there is for you. I just said there's a slight fear aspect. If you continuously get past that fear, you just become a stronger musician. By stronger, I don't mean skill. I just mean you're able to deal with internet hate because you're the one putting yourself out there, right? So those are my tips. I'm going to recap one more time. It's give yourself a reason to play in the first place. Get your instrument, guitar, or any instrument. This works for it. Pick your songs, okay? If you love it, you will want to play it. And don't worry about exercises and drills and all that stuff. Build the habit, because that's where all the magic happens, and then put it out there. Perform for the world. And that's what I've been using on myself, and really just by accident. But if this is cliche, but if I can do this just as a hobby, anybody could do it, okay? So if you're in this game, pick that guitar up, get more consistent with it. If you're starting out, use all those tips. And I guarantee you, I kid you not, the learning process will be a lot faster for you, okay? That is it, y'all. Have fun. Happy holidays. Check out my other videos. Subscribe if you want. Bye. Go practice.